Almost 40% of pedestrians die on our roads every year. And this is what is interesting, is that majority of them are black. And they're males, mainly. And they die at night. And yet, government continues to spend money on educating the driver. You see them at toll gates when it's Easter, when it's December. What's going on? So what we're going to have today is to have a discussion, real discussions on road safety in South Africa. My name is Isaack Lesole. I'm your host, Transit Ringas. We have a guest today from the Department of Community Safety in Gauteng. Our guest today has got a very limited scope of talking to us because she's going to talk to us really around education. I would have wanted to push her into other things, and she's constantly been telling me, that's not my area, that's not my area. So we will try as much as possible to deal with issues around education and see what's the best that we can get out of this. Here's the truth. 89%, almost 90% of the accidents that are happening on our roads happen as a result of human error. What is human error? It is that driver who is on his phone, who's fatigued, pushing to just drive even though you see that you are fatigued. It is the driver who is speeding and a whole lot of these other things. And these are the things that we're going to talk about today. But I think at the end of it all, we need to find out what is it that we can do to make it better. And we're going to analyze the strategy of the province and see if it's actually working, because here we are, the accidents in Gauteng remain high. But I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm just going to ask questions. Welcome, Sis Nhlanhla. Welcome to Transit Ringas. Thank you for honoring us. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. I want us to. I don't want this to be an interview. I want us to have a conversation, so that we get to understand what is it that you're going through, what is it that you're doing every day, what do you do. So I'm going to allow you to talk, because at the end of it all, there's a person we need to be talking to, because as passengers, as in most cases, as pedestrians, we continue to do reckless things on the roads. And let's understand what are those things and what is that we can change. Please tell us who you are and where you come from and what you do. Just what you do.
Good morning.
Yeah.
And to your viewers and everybody that I'll be talking to today.
Yeah.
I'm Nhlanhla Siswana from Department of Community Safety, responsible for road safety promotion in Gauteng.
Right.
Yes. Our business is about making people aware of how to use the road safely.
Right. Yeah.
And also educating them, not only creating awareness.
Right.
And also make people aware of things that they do that they leads to accidents or leads them not to be safe on the road.
Right.
There are many ways that we try in order to make people see the point. But unfortunately, when we talk of safety, people only realize it's about safety when they're in danger.
Right.
And maybe after they've experienced danger, then they start questioning if there were anything before that could have saved them.
Right.
And when you talk pre, it's like no one understands what you're talking about, because what we talk about is not seen.
Right.
and it's not tangible.
Right.
It's mostly an experience that people would experience if they do not practice safety.
Sure.
So it's sad to say that in this field we realize how numb people are when it comes to road safety in
Right.
particular.
Right.
Before I used to spoke about safety in general because I was in communication,
Right.
doing marketing in the same department. And I also realized that when we talk about safety and reporting and all of that, people like to take rumors, I'll call it rumors,
Right.
and make it a perception of government, to say government is not doing this and this, why should we do that? And forget that when you talk safety, we talk about you.
Right.
We are not talking about government and what government can do, but we are talking about what you need to do for you to be safe. Because government doesn't come to your house and say, when you leave your house, look left, look right, and be safe. You need to know that. You need to do that so that you are safe.
So we are definitely going to fight today.
No, we shouldn't. You said you're having a conversation.
because the reason why there is law enforcement, it is because there's an anticipation that we will do wrong. Right?
Okay, let me come in there. It's not an anticipation.
It is a fact.
Yes, that people do not want to do right.
Right.
That's why it's said it's an enforcement.
Right.
For you to walk in the pavement,
Right.
for you to use a pedestrian crossing as a pedestrian. Because as you were saying in your opening, the highest number of fatalities, it's pedestrian.
Yeah.
And everyone is a pedestrian.
Yeah.
At some time.
Yeah.
I picked my car coming here, I became a pedestrian. There were cars crossing to the parking.
Yeah.
So we become pedestrian, even if you could say, no, I'm safe because from home I'm driving to the office.
Right.
But you are going to be pedestrian
At
some
some
point.
point, yeah.
Yes, at some point.
Now, I want to double click on that because this is very important to me. A posture, when government takes a posture of being reactive, because as you put it, you say that we can only when you experience the undesired on the road, you realize that you could have done better. That's me as a passenger. Mm-hmm. That's me as a motorist. That's me as a pedestrian. Mm-hmm. But having said that, government itself then, I want to make this example. At the border, a Bay Bridge, for the longest time, government brought so many police, soldiers, but the porous borders problem did not stop. Mm-hmm. Continued until Home Affairs with the department responsible, they decided that the use of technology is better. They now took drones and put drones up there. And with that intervention of technology, a lot happened there. I'm leading you somewhere. The CSIR, there's a report that says motorists only modify their behavior only when they know that there is enforcement, only when they know that there's a camera, only when they know that there is a roadblock. So inherently, motorists would do wrong. Passengers would do wrong. South Africans would do wrong. We do wrong things. Is it not an indictment on government to say, and I'm not saying the responsibility is with government, and I'll show you, that Now that we realize that people, regardless of what we say and do, they will do wrong, is there no mechanism that we can employ to be proactive about some of these things? Because we can predict them. We know what these things are and we know what people are doing. And we remain there. We can only go when there is an accident. And unfortunately, that's the only time when you know that something is gone wrong. It sounds to me that government is inherently very reactive in the road safety issue. Will that analysis be right?
I don't want to be defending anything.
Right.
Being here.
Right.
Because I want to be realistic
Right.
about the situation out there.
Right.
And all I want to say is that, yes, we are reactive because some of the activities that we do, it's based on, now we know the place is marked hazardous location.
Right.
So that's been reactive.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we do get proactive by going to schools, to crèches, to teach young kids about how they should behave on the road. And I think that has been proactive because we are preparing them. They are not yet independent. They are dependent on their parents. But as they walk and they have been taught at that early age, we want to believe that if they grow with that mindset to say, this is how I need to behave when I'm on the road, it in future will have people who are behaving better.
I'm hearing you.
Yeah.
But I'm in that statement, I'm also reading losing hope.
No, we are not.
You are rather concentrating in preparing a generation to come.
I know, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
As much as we are reactive with the ones that
We have now.
we wanted to believe that, safety, it's very important for all of us.
Right.
It's essential.
Right.
It needs to be packaged with essential needs of a human being.
Right.
You think of safety in everything.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, what you've just illustrated to say, we just do wrong.
Yeah.
We just don't care. As I was driving coming here, I can tell you of so many drivers that I felt, what is this person doing? Why are you doing this?
Right.
You're on the phone, you're overtaking, you're not indicating. It's an adult.
Right.
Who knows exactly that picking up a phone while I drive and I know that I need to turn somewhere, it's wrong. But they do it anyway.
That's it.
But then we don't stop to even speak to those when we do our awareness campaigns.
No, I hear you.
Yes, because we go out there to do our awareness campaign. You said something earlier to say we speak to drivers. We don't only speak to drivers. We speak mostly to everyone. Yes, we go and speak to drivers during the roadblocks sometimes or wherever where you have seen us to say, be on the lookout for pedestrians. They are everywhere and they are the ones dying. And remember, when a pedestrian is knocked off on the road, it also puts you in a situation that it's unanticipated, something that you did not plan for.
Right.
So we are trying to mobilize drivers to say, let's work together and make sure that people don't die on the road. Because there wouldn't be any fatality without a car knocking someone.
Yeah.
So drivers are key. As much as pedestrians also are key. So we talk to you as a pedestrian, we talk to you as a driver. There are many pedestrians who are drivers that has been knocked by cars. And you've mentioned that they're mostly males and at night.
Yeah.
Because during the day, there are measures that we have tried to put in place as government. Working with communities, we are not working alone.
Yeah.
In silos. We have a program that we call Road Safety Councils.
Right.
Where community members volunteered. We actually found them there. They volunteered to say, we want to help our own. Make sure that our people cross safely on the road. And we appreciate those drivers that respects them on the road. Because there are those, even though there are those then that just do as they want to.
So how is the I'll talk to you about the structures that you have on the ground. With what we are doing today as government, Do you see us meeting the commitments we've made? We have these SDGs, commitments that we made, halving this by 2030, and the trajectory and the data says the opposite. I know that has to do a lot more with enforcement and education as well. But as a country, would you agree that you can't represent the country, you can represent Gauteng? Because in truth, because of our geographic location as a province, most of the accidents happen here. We are not reducing the road accidents; they are going up.
Yeah, they went down a little bit around Easter.
Oh, okay.
December. When we're sitting and doing planning, we wish no one could be involved in any type of accident.
Right.
And it's not up to us. Hence, we mobilize communities. Hence, we try to speak. My team is out there throughout the province every weekend as well, where we want to believe that people are out there relaxed and they will give time to listen to us.
Right.
Those are other measures that we try to put in place to say, go out there, let's speak to people. One person, just make sure that you're spoken to so much number of people.
Right.
And don't just make it a by the way. If a person shows interest, make sure that you engage.
Yeah.
And over and above that, we then thought to say, okay, awareness are not early. It looks like the other programs are a repetition, but we are trying to be more in depth into what we want to get through.
Right.
So we're now having road safety pedestrian education program, where with community leaders, we work with them to at least gather people so that we can then engage with them,
right.
Show them the stats, show them what is it that is happening. And, the sad thing that I've realized is that people only, for a certain period, once a person dies at a certain spot, there are families that will come and put a flower.
Yeah.
Sorry. I've seen that speaking to people, because people then, it trick a bit to say, so something happened here. It means there was an accident.
Yeah.
Somebody died here.
Yeah.
And maybe for a few days on that road,
they behave
and
different.
You will check and there wouldn't be an accident. But as soon as those flowers fade, knowledge fades as well. People forget.
Yeah.
And another accident, few small kilometers or meters from there, someone again died on the same spot. So it looks like when it comes to road safety, we are numb. Or we have accepted it, I'm not sure. But it looks like we have accepted that we will die, and part of dying is through accidents.
What would be the role played by ward councillors? Because in any ward you have three types of potential victims. You have the driver, you have the passenger, and you have the pedestrian. And until we package these in the three categories and go to where they are and use the current infrastructure, because we've got a network of councillors whose people die as a result of these accidents. And I understand that there's a program that you're busy with scholars or schools in particular. But the decision makers, the motorist, the pedestrian, and the actual passenger are in one ward. What's the relationship between the ward councillor and these community groups that you have? Because their credibility or recognition would be if they were to be seen exactly as your community safety forums. What are those things?
Road safety councils.
Yeah, so your road safety councils, what's their recognition? It sounds like they are just an informal group of of people that are coming together. How have you formalized them? What's the structure there?
Yeah, within the department, Department of Community Safety, you mostly work with communities for our different programs.
Right.
So we mobilize communities for most all our programs in the department. I'm only here talking about road safety, but you will think of GPV. We've got GPV brigades. We've got community patrollers. We've got Siabangenas and all of that. They are all called safety ambassadors.
Okay.
Because they are representing safety within their communities.
Right.
So there is a form of contracting with them so that they account, at least we know that we have people there and we have a database and they're working there. Yes, they get a stipend also for them to commit.
Right.
It's not employment.
Yeah.
It's not a salary, but they're getting the 2,500 stipend when we contract them, but depending on availability of budget.
Right.
But as I've mentioned that we found them there, we did not recruit them.
Right.
But as government, we acknowledge the good work that they're doing for their own communities.
Right.
And we then wanted to partner with them.
Right.
So yes, the councillors are involved. They know. You would not go into a ward without a councillor knowing what is happening.
Right.
And they do support us, even when we request them to organize a group of people so that we can engage with them. Yes, they do call them. And they will be there in our meeting to open and also encourage and support us.
Because we have been and part of the things that we've always wanted to do. Transit Ringas is a transport. We don't deal with anything. You will never find us. We only deal with transport, land transport in particular, or road transport, and everything that happens in that space. And one of our greatest concerns, in fact, our concerns are two things. One is GBV, especially in the taxi industry, and general road safety across all modes of transport. And we have we're paying so much attention to these two aspects. GBV, which is now on the rise, and this road safety issue that seems like people are very casual about. The only people who seem to talk about road safety are those who are affected. And we can't sit here and try and demonize anyone or accuse you that you've not done enough, because the truth is that individually we have that responsibility. But there are circumstances that are sometimes leading us to this. And part of the reasons, and this is data that's available there, what you would realize is that the reason why you will find people dying across informal settlements, it's because of the informal settlements are not regulated. People get there and government has no strategy of dealing with those people when they are there. So there's no mechanism for them to cross to the other side. There's no N12 there when you go to Lenasia. It's a very interesting thing. It has now become a community, but government is not, and this is, I know that this will be the responsibility of local government to say that, okay, now that they are here, what do we do about this situation? And this is where where government, I think, not fails but runs short. Do you raise these things, and is there a plan around these kind of things, because they are really serious?
Yeah, there are plans that are in place concerning, our department mandate, if you look at the National Development Plan, is to ensure that all who are and live in Gauteng are safe. And that goes across color, gender, whether you are a South African or not a South African.
Right.
Because when we talk of road fatalities, we don't first ask, are you a South African?
Yeah.
Then we count you or not.
Yes.
So all who are and live in South Africa are safe. So when we do our plans, that's what is in our mind, to say we are responsible to ensure that people are safe. How can we go about that? And, when you talk about people, you are not talking about objects.
Yeah.
They're living beings.
Yeah.
They've got their own minds.
Yes.
They decide whichever. So all the means that we do is to influence.
I got you.
Yes. So yes, plans are there. And over and above that, we do have meetings with other government departments concerning such issues. But you also remember that they have their own mandate into how they're dealing with it. And we also have this mandate to say, as long as there's so much influx in Gauteng, we are in trouble. We are in trouble. And every time you see new informal settlement beginning, then you start scratching your head.
You know that there's a problem.
Capacity and all of that. But then we'll go to that community, whether it's informal or formal. Because as long as they are there, something might happen.
Yeah.
Experience has taught us.
So are you guys open? Look, we are creating this kind of platform specifically to communicate with this kind of target market. And this target market, unfortunately, is not a target market you go to, you run a program once in a month and then you leave. You need to have a constant engagement with these people. And nobody will ever have that enough time and resources to be talking to people every time. But I think the time has arrived where, as a country, because what you are doing, you've been doing for some time. You can only try and hope that there is change. Try to influence. But there's a point where we see that, but over the last 10 years of doing this, that the data trajectory tells us that there's an upward mobility in terms of accidents, in terms of this, so our actions might not be really impactful. But we can't stop from educating. It's like a pastor at church. You can't stop spreading the gospel. It doesn't matter how many times we've seen. We just need to keep, doing it. But here, Sis Nhlanhla, I really think that there's more that can be done. And I don't know how open are you guys to partnering with the likes of us, because we on the ground, we are at the taxi rank. We speak to the driver, we scream, we speak to the passenger, and most importantly, in the next couple of days, maybe 5 days, on your app, on your iPhone or Android, every passenger in Gauteng and in South Africa will be able to report what they see. Speed, no seat belt, handling of a cell phone while in transit, discreetly. Discreetly. On your phone, you're just going to download an app. And because road safety to us is the core of what we're doing. So we're saying, how, if there's research that shows that people respond only when they know that they're being monitored, how about increasing the number of people that would monitor and send this data in a very credible way? Because I am going to give you my observations and I will give you data. It's not enforceable data. It's not data that you can take somebody to court about. No, it's data that shows that on this road, the same way you would know that N12 is behaving in a particular way, there are multiple other roads or routes in the country that have the same problem. But you are able now to say the people that are operating on that route, give us that data so that I can give it to you and say that, do you want to do something here? Mm-hmm. The people are complaining about unroadworthy vehicles on this route. I can give that data to you. They are complaining that there's no driver who puts on a safety belt on this route or across but there's data. So because we are in the world of data, the old way of doing things throwing pamphlets everywhere, that thing is over.
True.
It's over.
Yeah.
And it's time that everyone takes the responsibility, especially passengers. Especially passengers, because the passenger is the one person who's sitting there, not driving, not doing anything, but seeing. Sometimes you're sitting there and you are sweating because of how this person is driving. And there's nothing you can do about it.
I think I really appreciate what you are doing at Transit Ringas for everyone within Gauteng, for the communities. And I know that since we started, we're talking driver and pedestrian.
Yeah.
And you keep on bringing passenger, and I have not said anything.
Yes. Yes.
We do go and speak to passengers. It's passengers are timid. I don't know if that is the right term to say.
Yeah.
But they seem to keep it in.
Yeah.
They don't like talking.
Yeah.
And I hope and pray that they take advantage of this platform.
Right.
Where they could speak. Because as they speak, I believe that taxi drivers or any driver, they are human, they will hear.
Yeah.
And I want to believe that will do something. Right. It's going to add towards what we want to achieve.
Right.
Into getting good driver behavior as well.
Right.
Because that, contributes to how we all use the road.
Yes.
And at the same time, when passengers get involved, they are also going to be aware of their own behavior.
Yes.
On the road now, after they got off that car, becoming a pedestrian, I hope that they will also remember that it's not just about the driver.
Yeah.
It's also about themselves and how do they behave. Because you find, people just walk on the road and they don't care.
Yeah.
A person gets into a taxi, stops the taxi anyway, where they're not supposed to. So we also would love people to learn that, to say, when I want a taxi, I need to make sure that where it's going to stop, it's safe for me and other motorists, because that also causes accidents. So, road safety education is quite broad, and sometimes you want to teach everyone that, to say, even when you stop a taxi, you need to be careful. But then the taxi would say, we stop where we find people. But I also appreciate what the industry has done, because they're also now a little bit strict about picking anywhere. There are spots where people are supposed to go, there are ranks and get taxis. But there are instances where they can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And anyway. Yeah. So as passengers, we can teach taxi drivers to not to stop anyway and put other people in danger.
So I think, and thank you for that, because if we have established as a country that human error is responsible for the number of accidents we have, it means that the time has arrived for us as a country to now launch a psychological warfare on road safety.
Yeah.
And the only way to launch psychological warfare is when everyone is empimpi and you don't know what's going on. So that the fear of being monitored is anyone who's around you. There's data that shows that on weekends, early hours of the morning when the clubs close, most accidents happen, and there's a specific age group that's affected around those times. The tavernas, the beer halls and all of this, at what point do you engage them? Because, God, the accident that happens at 2 o'clock or between 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the morning, I can assure you, majority of them would be related to that.
We had a project where we would go to places of entertainment,
right,
and speak to people before they get intoxicated,
right.
But we know that they hear us at the time, they commit,
yeah.
But afterwards, what happened?
Yeah,
I think people forget. But then we look at other ways of reaching out to that specific group at work. That's why we have driver education. We go to organizations
Right.
where we would find, where we see that, this organization has fleet, we'll go there and request to say, can we come and have a driver education?
Right.
Where they've got just a majority maybe of people in those firms, and you could see that after work, a large group of people are crossing the road. We go there and said, can we please give us some time of your employees that we want to come and talk to them about road safety education. And maybe when we see there's a need and when we discuss with them, then they could say, maybe because your department also have this and this, can you also bring? So we bring a package of service to them, but making sure that we emphasize the issue of pedestrian safety. If it's a company that has a lot of people that crosses a certain road and there've been a number of accidents. And it's very sad that you will find that one or two of them has been in accidents.
Yeah.
But they will still use the road carelessly.
Yeah.
Just cross in between, and they would say, no, okay, yes, we don't have bridges. And once this is identified, you have to involve now other sectors in the in government to say there is an issue there, then researches will be done, and these things takes time. But while all that is taking its own time and people responsible have to do that, people need to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
You can't blame the fact that there isn't a bridge for your safety.
Yeah.
You can't.
You're going to die. If the bridge
Yes.
is the only reason that would make you safe or make you behave safely, you're going to die.
Yeah, because the other sad part, I know we are everywhere with this conversation.
I can
of ours.
see, yeah. which is
But
cool.
But it's fine because, the other worry factor for me is that you see informal settlements that are built next to freeways. And you ask yourself that whoever who started to say, here's a place, let's go and make it a settlement.
A home for us.
A home for us. Did they think about people's safety? And when I, Nhlanhla, then decide to say, I needed a place for a very long time, and they are saying we can go build there, go buy the material and everything and put with my little children to go and stay there. Do I think of safety?
No, I don't think of safety. That I think of getting a home.
But getting a roof over your head must be in a safe place for you and your kids. So I wish people can start to think about that. I wish people that identify these spots can look around and make sure that people then find homes in safe spaces.
Yeah.
Not just anywhere.
No.
And I think it's important that we speak about that, because you go to these places, they are community leaders, and they are the ones that will then start to say, no, government must give us this and give us that. But when they mobilize people to go and build there, they're not thinking of all those things, especially safety.
Yeah. No,
Because there will be response, water will be brought, and all of these things, but you cannot bring safety. You are responsible as an individual for your safety. No one will bring safety for you.
Yeah, I think what you're saying brings a conversation that says that, okay, when we find them there, when they are there already, it is too late, and therefore we're taking that responsibility to back to those that are organizing those people. Because I think it's important for us to tell them that if you take people and create a settlement just next to a freeway, you must know that people are going to die.
Yes.
There. You must know that children are going to die. So as part of your planning, as the person who organizes, you must also write it in your CV when you write that I moved 200 people. You must also count the number of bodies that you're going to count there. Because that you're doing of taking people where it is not safe for them. Every life that is lost on the road next to that same settlement is your responsibility. And you, as the leader, you need to know that. And this is the message we're taking to them. Because there are too many other circumstances that would lead people for creating this kind of settlement, which I will not agree with. But I think we have not extended this message enough to these people. But also then I want us to speak directly to the motorists, to the passengers, to the pedestrians, because it does not make sense to me that an old 50-year-old man like me dies on the side of the road at night. Let's leave poverty. Let's leave poverty. It has nothing to do with it. No, it's because it is irresponsible for you as the pedestrian to walk on the side of the road drunk late at night. Period.
You know, Isaac, this has made me, I was once looking at the preliminary stats in the department,
Right,
because they do that. And, I was just engaging with the colleague and I said, sometimes it looks like people are committing suicide.
It is suicide.
On the road, because why would you see that this is a busy road?
Yeah.
And you just go
without
looking.
No, you are suicidal.
Yeah. I feel that there are people who are suicidal that put other people in such conditions because they don't care.
Yeah.
And there are people that would walk and you will break, break.
Yeah.
Because this person just doesn't care and they just look at you like that. And you don't know whether the aim was that I'm hit by the car so that I get money.
Yeah.
Or what? No, there are these things that are happening. And when you are saying we need to, you said something about psychological warfare. Welfare into it. I think it's important, not just with drivers, with everyone that uses the road.
Yeah.
Because there is problem that people are bringing into the road that result into these fatalities. And you look at accidents now are not like accidents, they're created.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that as community of Gauteng, we need to look at each other and help each other to realize what is at stake and what is happening on our roads.
I appreciate that. And I'm going to say from where I'm seated that this behavior needs to come to a stop.
Yeah.
It really needs to come to a stop. If, as Isaac, I feel like ke kgathetse go phela, let me not involve other people.
Exactly. True.
Because wittingly or unwittingly, when you walk on the dangerous path, you know something is going to happen. You know that now. So when you know that corridor, that's where batshwarang batho pohoteng, and you walk there at night, you anticipate that you could be. So when you go there, you are sort of preparing yourself. That's why people go into that space and they would leave the phones and all, because you can anticipate what's going to happen. Similarly, when you walk on the freeway, alongside the freeway, and you know that you're going to have to cross, and you are intoxicated, it's at night.
And wearing black.
And you're wearing black like me. Let me tell you, my brother, you're going to die, right? And we're going to sing for you. But the one thing that will unfortunately not tell you when you are dead is that you brought that to yourself. Let's tell it to you now, when you're still alive. To say that it is irresponsible for you to take this kind of actions, because these actions are the reasons why we have this problem. South Africa is not supposed to be sitting with this number of accidents on our road, especially because it's pedestrians. Especially because it's pedestrians. So I think that it's time that we take the responsibility. And as men, let's take the responsibility and avoid running away from life easier through an accident, because there's a fine line between RAF payment and death. So please don't aim for the RAF payout, because we might pay for your casket. You know?
And also, Isaac, if I may just say this, there's this growing trend of Puza Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
where from Thursday,
And the guys here, they puza on Thursdays. Okay.
where people don't care about their lives. And I'm not saying Puza is wrong,
Right.
but where are you doing it?
Yeah.
And after you've done it, why you want us to see you that you are doing it, because you're doing this for yourself?
Right.
Why can't you keep it in your own space and be safe somewhere, instead of want to show us walking with your bottle on the street and being arrogant as you walk on the street? Because that's what we see.
Right.
I know we are not talking about it, but most of us are, it irritates
Right. No.
everyone who's driving or even who's walking,
Yeah.
because a lot of things happen while someone is holding that bottle
Yeah.
or that can, feeling like they own
They
the
own the
world.
world. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just be responsible.
No, I think it's time, and we would want to really join hands with you. We would want to speak to people in a different way, and unfortunately, as government, you hand tied as well. There's a conversation. You need to be careful how you say certain things, but I think it's time that we face this road safety issue as men, because I know of someone who went out on a Saturday, early hours of the morning. This guy drove a beautiful Golf R. We also flashed the vehicles. Picked up the most beautiful girl at a club, early hours of the morning. On their way home, is a Golf R sprint and caused the accident that finished both their lives. And this girl did not know this man from a bar of soap. Did not know this man from a bar of soap. Met him in the club. In the club. And because of what he has and flashing of the bottle that he's drinking, he became an attractive and a person of interest that night. And that's the moment when she signed her death wish.
And that's what I mean about let's be responsible. We need to be responsible and be accountable to self about our safety.
This is really sad.
It's very, very sad. You're reminding me of my sister lost a husband 2 years ago due to an intoxicated driver.
Sure.
Who drove, it was 2-lane going that side. It wasn't a freeway.
Right.
And 2-lane going, and he was going on the extreme left. This person, we don't know whether he slept or something, and went with a 4x4 into a Mercedes and crashed into them. They died on the spot.
Yeah, man. No, man.
Yeah. And what we are saying, my brother-in-law was a maxi taxi driver, so he was ferrying a client.
Right.
That poor woman died in that accident with my brother-in-law.
No, I know. No,
and it's a very, you look at your family member that can't really bring this. We know him. He was a very strict and perfect driver.
Right.
When you were traveling with him, is somebody that would not be talking or doing many other things.
Right.
And you know a driver that you would sleep in the car when you are in his car because you are safe.
Yes.
He was that kind of a driver. But he died due to someone who was coming from a party or going to a party with bottles and everything, open glasses and in his car when they find, when the police were taking pictures.
Yeah.
We see all of that. And it's very sad. So this person did not think that what he was doing could put even other innocent people in danger.
Which then brings me to this final point I wanna get to. The role the role of business. You would know that Discovery, for instance, would reward its customers, clients, for responsible driving. So when you drive responsibly on the road, there's a point, the scoring that you get, and then they give you rewards. But what has been found is that it doesn't matter if the roads at the moment are not safe. The roads are not safe. Your brother passed away not because he was irresponsible, but because the environment within which he's driving is not healthy. At what point do we bring insurance companies to say that, guys, okay, and this is the reason why the likes of us are bringing this app together, to say that, okay, now we are identifying the hotspots. Now we have red everywhere because of the driver behavior now, the pedestrian behavior now. So how do we bring together? Have you guys engaged insurance companies? Have you engaged the likes of the SAB and the guys that are producing spirits, because the spirits are the petrol of the night?
Yeah, we do engage with Business Against Crime, and they will then explain all our programs and the courses and all of that. And hence we have seen, with adverts, they will put those lines that nobody reads, but someone reads it eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe they also want to say we are responsible. We do say this. And, you were saying to say, we've been using messages that has just become like that silent song.
Yeah.
To say don't drink and drive, I don't think people get it anymore.
It has become so usual.
Yeah. So when, I'm stressing the part of being psychological about our messaging as well.
Yeah.
We are looking into that. And with that said, I think the partnership can work, especially with what you have in terms of research.
Right.
And it's something that I want to take back from this conversation today to the department to say, there are no many platforms like this that talks about road safety.
Yeah.
And I want to believe that if working with Transit Ringas can really expose us to the people that we really want to talk to. Yeah. Because anyone that is interested in this podcast is someone that I'm thinking subconsciously they are concerned about safety.
Yeah.
And we want to bring that to the fore so that they speak about it as well.
Yeah.
We would really appreciate that people listen to their children.
Yeah.
I'm going back to children because I know that when you're driving with a kid that has been taught how to behave on the road,
they will definitely tell
not pass a red robot.
They will definitely tell you.
Yes.
Mommy, why don't you have your seatbelt on?
Yeah. Put your seatbelt, and they will also behave and sit where they're supposed to and want to battle. So to battle up. So, we need to have in our families conversation about this.
Yeah.
We need to reflect on how we've been affected by road accidents.
Yeah.
And think to say how many more in our family are we going to lose?
Yeah.
And I also just want to bring this one. My father also died, I would say, due to an accident, but it was because of sugar diabetes.
Right.
So our health also contributes to accidents on the road. My father, we want to believe, because when I was growing up, I was 14 when my father died.
Sure.
But we knew that her sugar levels used to go down, and he used to go down, and he used to stay with sweets in his pockets and in the car and everything. And when we would say that, then we would know that, quickly you unwrap the sweet, you give it to him. But unfortunately, on this day, the person that he was driving with did not know.
Sure.
So he could not see, he had a blackout, and the car capsized, and he passed on.
Sure.
So we also need, so can you see how affected I've been?
Yeah.
By accidents, sitting here, right at home.
Right.
And I can go on and on. My little sister, we were going somewhere, going into the road. I don't know what happened. She wanted to cross back, and then she was hit by someone that was speeding in a location, in the township. I don't think that was a 60.
It can't be a 60.
Because we just saw her flying and was thrown 3 yards away.
It can't be 60.
It wasn't 60. And I'm talking about something that happened in 1984.
Sure.
So the speed that drivers are driving now in the townships, it's even higher. Hence, we are having a lot of harms. I mean, those are also measures. It's another enforcement to say, slow down. I know we're calling them calming measures, but it's also another enforcement to say, slow down, because there are people on the road. And we have more people on the road now than before.
Yes, we do.
So we really need, and we're pleading with drivers, let's take this as our responsibility to say, as long as I drive, I would not knock off anyone. Let it be an accident.
Let it be an accident.
Yeah, if it's an accident, let it be an accident. Whether you are walking, whether you are a passenger and driving, let accident be an accident. I don't know if that makes sense, but to me it makes sense to say some of the accidents shouldn't have happened if we are careful enough.
Yeah.
And we would not have so many. We would have accidents.
You triggering something in me. You know, when you jump into a car that's not roadworthy. You drive it with a passenger or passengers, or even alone, and you hit someone on the side of the road, or another car, or you capsize, whatever it is. The knowing that the car was not okay makes the action a crime, because you knew. It is therefore important to say that even a person who knows that has temporary blackouts, when you black out while driving and you kill people, that's actually murder. It's culpable homicide.
True.
Because everything that happens and you know the cause, you've just hoped that it does not happen at that time, but you knew that at some point it's going to happen. So there are people who are killing others on the road knowingly, which speaks about the legislation that we have in the country, that we don't often see people arrested and sentenced, convicted and sentenced for these kind of cases, because everything is culpable, and culpable suggests that you had no intention. Yeah, you had no intention, but knowing is an intention of commission of crime. And I think maybe putting the data together is going to show that there is a need for us to changing the law, because everything that we're doing, if the data that we're putting together does not bring us to a situation where we can advocate and bring changes to the law and hold people really accountable. Because in South Africa, our biggest problem is law and order in this country. Our biggest problem, and this is us as citizens.
Yes.
This is us as citizens. We do things willy-nilly. Nobody can tell you what to do. In fact, people are telling the police officer on the side of the road, we've seen incidences.
It's lawlessness.
It's lawlessness.
Which is growing. And you know, as South Africans, we need to look after our own country. And we are saying lawlessness because we are.
Yeah.
We don't want to abide by the rules or by the law.
Simple.
Because we are not saying the police are lawless.
Yeah.
They bring law, they want to enforce it, but to who? And we don't want to receive it. You don't want to acknowledge that for us to live better in Gauteng, we need to abide by our own, because this is our law. This is for our safety. The intention is not about harming anyone. It's to saying, if you abide by this rule, if you make sure that when you approaching a robot, you are cautious enough that when it closes, you stop, not want to pass faster and thinking that your car is faster than others.
Yeah.
we will all be safe. But should there be a police all the time for you to do right? Why is that?
No. I think I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna make a commitment that we're going to use this platform to really structure real messages that we need to take out there.
I appreciate that.
We would really like to. We're very fortunate because we work very closely with academia. Because of the quality of data that we're doing. So this is actually a platform that takes out the message, but we will be factual about everything. So we would want to make a commitment. Road safety is not, you can't do it once. You can't have an interview and then you leave.
Yes.
We would need to be intentional about the kind of messages we want to package to people. And I'm going to pull you back. You're going to come back.
Okay.
And then focus on, so at some point we're going to have
To
zoom into
Yeah.
motorists and just talk about them there and what we're going to be doing around them, passengers and pedestrians, all of that, so that we have different packages.
You know, with what you're saying, I just requested my team with communication to say, I want us to capture, but because we are having really, I want us to capture these errors on the road.
Yeah.
We need to capture them and show people. You know, I even said, even if we give them a name that, define what they are doing.
Yeah.
To say, if we are a muhu on the road, this is what you do.
Yes.
I'm
yes.
just
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you.
To say, as a normal person who's able to think correctly, to think and make sure that this person is safe, we would not do this. You come into an off-ramp. Have you seen what's happening in off-ramps?
Tell me.
They don't want to stop. People that are coming onto the freeway.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So
whether there's traffic or not.
Because you must yield into them.
Yes.
You must yield there.
Yes.
But they come in full
at the
speed. Yeah. Because then it becomes an on-ramp for them. And then yeah. But this is why then the discussions around engineering becomes
and
important.
Your line is going to end.
It's going to end, so you know.
So what are you expecting should happen there? What's happening in your mind?
Chris, I want you guys to monitor this for yourselves.
What do you think would happen then? Then there's an accident. We are all now late to work because Nhlanhla thought she's very special. When she comes, everyone should just stop.
Yeah, even the cars that are coming 120 on the freeway, because the responsibility is with you.
What are you doing?
As a person jumping onto that.
What are you doing?
Okay.
So I think we need to capture these things, and our message should be about what people see, so that maybe they realize and say, "Ish, son, maybe
it's foolish to do certain things.
I'm also doing this.
Yeah.
Why do I do it? When you know you're going somewhere, wake up early.
Yeah.
So that you don't have to speed unnecessary. We are not on an emergency or anything. I made an appointment to come here.
Yeah. You were here on time.
And for me to be on time, I had to do things differently than normal.
Yeah. Agreed.
So this is not some scientific thinking.
Yeah.
If there's anything like that.
Yeah.
It's common knowledge.
Yeah.
That, okay, tomorrow I'm not going straight to the office. I'm not using the road that I'm used to.
Yeah.
I'll be using N1. I normally use M1.
Yeah.
And I know M1 in its dynamics.
Yeah.
But I'm not used to N1.
Yeah.
So for me to be safe and be on time, I need to plan my things differently.
Got you.
So planning doesn't need you to be in an office.
Yeah.
To wear a suit. It just needs thinking.
Okay. No. Thank you very much. I think what we did today, we laid the foundation.
Yes.
Of serious discussions we need to actually enter into.
Yeah, I realized that.
And that was the intention.
Okay.
The intention for me was to have these broad discussions. That's why I wanted to cover everything.
Okay.
because at some point we need to zoom into specifics. But you've given me enough for me to go sit back with my team and say, where do we start? Because all of these things, road safety is an important thing. We honestly believe, as Transit Ringas, we honestly believe that we're going to make a serious contribution in reducing road fatalities in South Africa. We honestly believe so.
Yeah.
We also believe that we've packaged a product that will make passengers and pedestrians snap out of this complacency and be able to contribute and speak out. Because one of the reasons why people have been quiet is because there has not been independent platforms where they can talk. So we're providing them with that platform, and we are very, very intentional about road safety. If you go through our app, you will see the first thing that starts there is seat belt, cell phone. These are distractions because that's what we are. That's who we are. And these partnerships and relationships are going to be very important for us, because it would not help for us to gather this data and sit with it here.
Yes.
It can work like that. So we will commit. We would say that we would speak in detail and decide on how we can structure this. But thank you very much for coming in today. You're gonna come in quite a few times. Comms must know that your second home is gonna be here, because until we have packaged, the beautiful thing about the kind of message that we're packaging here is that it would live forever on social media platforms. So when you take something and you put it on Facebook, you put it on YouTube, on TikTok, snippets and reels, they live there forever.
Yeah.
And our platform is growing. I mean, over by last weekend, we have hit 2 million viewers in almost 60 days.
Wow.
So there is interest in the kind of content that we're talking about, and we can see change.
And it gives me not really comfort but hope.
Yeah.
To know that there are people who are interested in listening.
Yeah.
To topics of safety,
Yeah.
especially road safety.
Yeah.
And I also realized that, because I'm following.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I've also realized that people are interested and they do comment now.
Yeah, they do.
About how they are treated on taxis and all of that.
Yes.
At least now there's an ear that is willing to listen.
Yes.
And they're able to voice out. And I hope that you also extend a hand to law enforcement.
Yeah.
In terms of, because people never open cases concerning how they've been treated, the abuse they're experiencing on, why they are in transit and all of that.
Yeah.
Whether in buses as well.
Yeah.
It's
everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
I think it gives that little bit of hope to say, now we've got people that we can direct our communication to.
Yeah.
I think it's a good opportunity that you have also afforded me.
Yeah.
And with my intentions and objectives to say, we want to reach as many people as possible.
Right.
And talk to them, talk to their hearts as well.
Yeah.
Not only their minds, their heart and mind needs to be in sync, so that when a person goes out, must think safety. And yes, it will make a difference in terms, because, as much as when stats is read and there's a little bit of reductions, no one will speak of road safety. It's like a teacher who taught you grade 1.
Yeah.
Once you graduate, you don't think that the reason I'm able to write today is because of that one. It's okay. But then we want to believe that the efforts that we've put into awareness and education, people are now starting to receive.
Yeah.
Because we have made relations with taxi associations.
Nice.
We go to them and they afford us a number of drivers that we engage with for at least 3 to 4 hours.
Right.
Engaging, talking about driver behavior.
Right.
And nothing else, and what happens. And they will also engage and tell you, no, this is what we the reason we do this, it's because of this, the reason, and all of that. And we reason together to say, but at the end, let's think about the safety of your own passengers. Okay. And your safety as well.
Yeah.
And how many other drivers do you know that has been in an accident? How many have you buried so far?
Yeah.
You know, all those things we are trying to talk to psychologically to the mind to say, I could be next.
Yeah.
And how would you feel if a number of your passengers are dead because you just don't care, you're just thinking of money?
Yeah.
And where would be money at the time where you get an accident? How much would you have made when you have killed a number of people? You know, those engagements, that's what we try to do. And also, I'm happy that this platform speaks then to passengers, because we do have messages that we want passengers to know. Passengers do cause accident due to their behavior within any type of a motor car or vehicle that they're in. Okay. Whether you are traveling with your family, what you do can contribute, and to safety or to an accident.
Right.
So it's important. So yes, I think we can then make sure that we divide all of this. And if we speak to passengers, we look at everything concerning passengers. And as a pedestrian, now that you've been a passenger, now you're getting out, now you're a pedestrian, how do you behave?
So no. Thank you very much. I'm gonna take you to some of these things. I want us to have some of these conversations out there with the people.
Yeah.
I want us to, we have the capability here to this kind of a conversation, have it live anywhere outside there. Mm-hmm. But I want us to structure it in such a way that we can go some kind of a road show and go speak to people in different environments, go to where they are. Because when you're sitting in a posh environment, sitting like this is not where people are. Of course, this reaches where they are, but the message moves faster when you are there.
Yes.
And similarly, I think it's time that we also engage churches.
We do.
But the role of the church cannot just be praying for them.
Sorry to cut you. I wanted to say the reason that we thought contributed to people behaving better during festive seasons, because we're so much in churches.
The way you?
It is. And we appreciated the fact that, there were pastors that opened and gave us, from their preaching time, they gave us those 15 minutes to say, speak to our church. And we say, please come back, don't be part of the states.
Yeah.
Drive safely.
We really need to do that.
We were talking about them to say, when we're saying drive safely, this is what we mean. When we're saying don't drink and drive, we're even talking about drinking water.
Yeah.
Find a place, get into a garage, drink your water, and then travel.
Yeah.
Because, just trying to take the bottle,
just
something could happen.
Open sparkling water when you're driving.
Yes. Yeah. And then it spills, and then what do you do?
Yeah.
Because it got shaken.
Yeah.
Maybe the kid in the car, you are traveling on a holiday, thought they just want to be funny with daddy, and then they shake it a bit and they give it to you open, and then what happens to you? An accident could happen. So yes, we spoke about, we went to churches, we spoke to churches, we are continuing. We did that also before Easter, because we felt that it's about time that we don't speak about something when people are excited.
Yeah.
We need to speak before. So as they are planning and preparing, it's already in their minds.
That for me, it's very important. Thank you very much. You need to be back here again in the next 2 weeks. Yeah, I can see. But I want to say to a South African passenger and pedestrian and a driver, it bothers me, and I know this might sound very political. It bothers me that majority of the people that are dying are black. It bothers me. It bothers me that majority of the people that are dying as pedestrians are males, fathers that are supposed to be taking care of their children. And yes, it is true that majority of people that are dying are generally perceived as poor. I don't know if this speaks to how we value our lives because of our current financial disposition. I don't know. But I'm going to say to you that you are more valuable than you take yourself. And I think immediately when you start looking at how you perceive yourself and value yourself, not just as an individual, but the role that you play in your own family. The fact that somebody is going to cry when you pass away means that you are valuable to somebody. I'm going to charge you today, wherever where you are, maybe take a moment and sit back and see what is that specific role that you think you play in your own family, because that could be the reason that saves you. But you cannot continue and acting reckless as you do. It is reckless to go walk across places where you know that it is not safe to cross. It is reckless. It is irresponsible. You can't do that. Make sure that our children are aware of the responsibilities when it comes to road safety, and your child can be the one that is used as a weapon to save other lives. So I'm charging you today to say, have a conversation with us. Follow the kind of content and the messages that we're sending around, because the time for you to sit there and be complacent is over. Your moment to speak out has just arrived, and you can use this opportunity to make your life better. I'm your guy, Isaack Lesole. I am out until we meet again. Peace.
Yo, en het rijm.